clubs. The try difference between them has been fairly similar, so we're hoping for a really close contest with this one.
We will talk you through that in just a second, but I'm going to hand you back over to Ian and Ben, who've got a quick guess with them.
Hello everybody, welcome to the studio, and we've got another treat for you now. We're joined by Yannick, the captain of France in the Men's Open. Congratulations, Yannick, it was a great game. How was it out there?
Yeah, it was a tough battle. The Scottish guys are very good, they run fast, they're good ball players, so it was a very good game.
It's been a very competitive tournament so far. Where has been the biggest strength for France?
We've got young players, so they don't feel the pressure. I think that's a good thing for these Euros, because there's a lot of great team against us, so yeah, it cools down a bit the team, and it helps us being easy and play calm, and yeah, that's good to have young lads.
I think watching that, you look so calm when you're playing. Why are you so calm at the moment? Like, I've seen you play in the past, and what you've done over the last 3 years personally, you seem to have chilled out a bit. So what's been the outcome of that?
We've got the way that we play, it's a lot easier because we've got 3 lines that play, so it gives us the time to rest a bit in the box, and then we're calm and calm in the pitch. A lot of pre-season training as well.
Okay, so talking about your training camp, we've not seen you for 3 years.
Yeah.
2019, I wouldn't say it was a shock, but that first result against England Men's Open, no one expected it because we've not seen France play. What have you been doing for 3 years? Please tell us about what you've been up to, because for us, it's lovely to see. We want to know what you've been up to.
We've been watching the games a lot, the British games, like England and Scotland, Wales and Ireland. So yeah, that helped us a lot, like working hard and keeping the fitness level very high, so we can battle with you guys. So I think that was most of the pre-season training, like very hard fitness training, and then a lot of camps as well.
Okay.
Maybe like 10 a year.
Okay. And what we're talking about the games that you've got coming up. Every team in the Men's Opens have got a 1-2 game day, and yours is actually on Saturday, whereas England and Ireland play each other in the first game of the day, and then potentially, depending on the results, you might play one of them, or if you go unbeaten, you then play someone else in the semi-final. Is that going to be a benefit to you in coming into Saturday?
The aim that we've got is to finish in the final 4. That's the only thing that we're looking at.
Taking that pressure off yourself.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Finish in the final 4, and then we'll find out later.
I tell you what, Ben, that's a very nice answer. However, let's put a bit of pressure. Do you personally, France going to go all the way?
We want to, but again, we need to keep those young guys very focused on the objective, and take game after game, and then we keep carry on like that, and we're going to do a great result, I'm sure.
Good fence sitting.
Yannick, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck for the tournament. Let's hand back to Chris and Mel for Bulgaria versus Italy.
And thanks, Ian. And as before we started this game, Mel, we were predicting whether or not this was going to be a competitive game, and we've already got that. 90 seconds into the game, and already it's 1-1.
It's almost as competitive as me and Ben Meakin trying to interview Yannick Bezek in the commentary box. Unfortunately, I've been shouldered out by Ben Meakin with my attempts to get a bit closer to Yannick, but Bulgaria with the great response, and Italy scoring first through Giacomo Ilaria. He's been the attacking weapon for Italy. He scored their first score, and I think that's his 12th score in what's now his 6 games with Italy, so definitely keep an eye on the number 20, Giacomo Ilaria. But Bulgaria hitting straight back, and with the intercept, running down that far wing. He doesn't look confident, he's pulling up.
But fair play to him, he's also realised that it was a 0 touch, but they're going to have to play with this now, Bulgaria. It's already been, they've kind of impressed, especially with that score that they had. Oh, this is turning into Intercept City. And we saw a lovely created try there from Snezhina Marinova on this near side, as Italy's defence just got caught being sucked into the Bulgarian player, and that was a lovely pass that was out there. So we've already seen that both teams have got the ability to cause each other problems, and they're very much on a similar level.
Yeah, absolutely. All credit to the number 7, Nikolai Lazev, just turning his back in defence there, but long ball to the wing.
Jordan Melling is not going to have a monopoly of the pills today.
What an absolute stunning try from Italy. You can see striked up here, Ilaria picking up, throwing long. You could see he could have scooped through and taken his time trying to find a support runner, but trusting his long ball there, and a great ball out to the number 7, Valeria Scalia. Looks like she might get a few of those today.
Especially if Giacomo Ilaria sends out pills like that, and proper fizz on that. I mean, to have to back yourself to do that, you don't necessarily see it that well with with teams that are not as good, should I say, or not as experienced. But both teams have shown the ability and the desire to bring their wingers into the game early.
Yeah, Alari, he's a weapon. He scores a lot as well. So to have a long ball on that, like that on him as well, it's pretty incredible. And one highlight of the mixed touch that we also saw in the England-Wales game is just the strength of the female links on both teams. In that England-Wales game, I thought the female links were absolutely on fire. Emily Ruck, one of the best female links running it. Kendall Fry on fire. I was talking to Josh Ingram, and it's just making this mixed competition so much harder in terms of the strength of the women as Italy down the far sideline. No touch claimed. He's coming back in field and he's in here.
But I think Bulgaria were saying that there was a touch, but then I think he then said, no, I haven't, and confusion reigns.
Yeah, a bit of a confused comms coming through there, and a little bit cat and mouse as the Italy player gets on the inside of his defender and goes straight in. Good chase by the number 7 from Italy, Scalia again.
I have to say, I'm going to go on the first beard watch now of the day, is that Bulgaria have brought on an absolute beard classic in Roberto Badola, who has got
what a great score.
He's got a stylish beard, but it's not as stylish as that score there from Bulgaria, and they have struck back as they needed to do after having conceded that confusing try at the other end.
Yep, Filip Minkov just getting around on the outside, little wraparound play through to the wing, showing up the beard and all for a great score on the outside. It's great competition so far, 3-2 to Italy.
There's great competitions for beards. There's great competition for headwear as well here at Highfields Sports Centre. I've seen a couple today. There's a fantastic lobster amongst one of the England Masters teams, and Belgium are already, though, are the king of the hats as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm liking the eyewear from the Bulgarian team as well. A few sets of sunnies out there when you're playing a game of touch at 12 and going on holidays at 1. That's how you rock up to the tournament. Good cornering here by the Bulgarian defence. Just unfortunately a missed touch there from Bulgaria, and Italy have gotten around on the outside for their 4th touch.
Yeah, it's not. They're not playing. Neither team's playing really complicated stuff, but they're not needing to, are they? I think it's the differences is when we're seeing the defensive breakdowns for both teams.
Yeah, for both teams, they've had quite a few tries scored against them in the pool games so far. But what that means is exciting touch here when they're facing each other, because we can see a lot of tries coming. But that said, if either team can really tighten up that defence, and there should hopefully be a 6 again.
Yeah, I think I saw Ray McFarlane call the 0 touch, and he's said there's another 0 touch there as well, saying that got played out by Italy. And now we've got Italy and Bulgaria on the field. We've heard from the French already so far just before this game. We're going to hear from Belgium now as well, as we transition from one European country to another. And let's pass over to Ian to hear some more.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the studio, and thanks Chris. It's not Belgium, we are with Victor from Spain. Victor, how's it been going out there for your team so far?
It has been absolutely fantastic. We just came with very little experience, and we just wanted to see how far we were from the rest of the European teams. It has been a pleasant surprise that we are competitive.
Yeah.
Which is basically was our main target.
It's what we need, isn't it? We were talking off air actually, and you were telling me the Spain team, you had 5 players in 2017, you've got 500 now people playing it in Spain. It's all about growth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about growth, and it's all about trying to develop the sport. And it has been quite a lot of initiatives. The last couple of years we have got leagues in Catalonia and Madrid, which is a 10 to 12 team, which is more than ever, and there is another few pockets where all our players come from. And we are developing, no maybe as quickly as I would like, but that's life, I guess.
Now, a little story about you, Victor, before we hand back. You actually played for Scotland, haven't you, back in 2011?
I played from 2008 to 2011 because I was living in Scotland. Well, I still do. I stay in Glasgow, and basically was a matter when Spanish Touch started to have teams, so I go engage with them in helping them, and eventually they told me, do you want to go back to your country? And I said, yeah, I'm delighted. So,
well, it seems you played a great role in helping the sport grow in Spain.
I'm trying my best.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thanks so much. Best of luck for the rest of the tournament, and of course to your teammates as well. And I hope the whole of Spain ends up watching. Let's hand back to Chris and Mel for the resumption of Bulgaria and Italy.
Thanks for that, Ian. Of course, I'd seen the black, yellow and red of the hoodie, but rather than Belgium, it was Spain we were just hearing from, as we saw the women's 27s team play on field 1 earlier today. And while that interview was happening, Italy have extended their lead with a couple of other tries, Mel, and seem to be just accelerating. And I think that the thing with Bulgaria is their defensive structures aren't as maybe as disciplined as they need to be, and we've seen players think that a decision needs to be made, and they're querying the referee instead of playing to the whistle.
Yeah, and I think in a foot race, Italy across the park just have some very, very quick players, and that is creating opportunities right through the field. But here they go, they've also got plenty of attacking options as well. Here they go, trying to make that strike dump on the 7 metres, which they've just done there. Stepping back here, long ball out to the wing.
Of course, that long ball, you need the winger to trust that the player on the inside has got the ability to fling it all the way out to the touchline, don't you? And on that situation, the player was maybe 3 or 4 metres further in than they needed to be.
Yeah, and to be fair, she was being marked by the Italian winger, who made a good read in defence there. But Italy will see their foot speed here. You can see them driving really directly, going to the box, maintaining that go forward. They do have some speedy people out there, Italy, as they've got their fresh legs coming on, some of their real key attacking weapons as well.
Bulgaria scrambling to get back to the 7 metres, which is a hard work at the best of times. But this time that's a mismatch which has been spotted by the Italians, finished by Andrea Albini. It's unfortunate there for Roberto Bedola that he just got caught against somebody who was able to exploit the space on the outside of him.
Yeah, and not to take away from that line running from Italy as well, you could see that link play just getting on the outside of him and running that outside line, which definitely helped get through that hole. Oh, they're looking good. And Bulgaria, to their credit, as you say, a very, very new touch-playing country. I think just accredited this year, and
2019 they're accredited to FIT. We had a like a Future of the Game symposium conference on the outskirts of Paris back in 2019, and Bulgaria had just joined, and they were there, you know, with England and Scotland and Wales and Australia and New Zealand and all the more established national touch associations, and they were just hoovering up every bit of knowledge that they could possibly get from all of us.
Unfortunately, just put down. They had an overlap of had a queue of players on the right hand wing lining up to score that, but just unfortunately putting it down. But Bulgaria responding very well with the nice drive down this.
Yeah, not using up too many touches. That's just unfortunate. Step on touch just as he was putting the ball down, Velin Lambov, number 9, and they weren't using up too many touches to get over to their box, which is something which can often happen. But now it gives Italy the perfect platform from the Bulgarian 10-metre line, and Annika Kozova is just hitting the deck because she thinks it's you can see perfectly well what she thinks has happened just there. She thinks that the Italian player has gone in using his shoulder first off.
Yeah, unfortunate there, and it's quite hard with touch. Sometimes we do have these clashes, and obviously in the Opens division you will see, although it's minimal contact, when you've got attackers and defenders running very hard at each other, you are going to occasionally have this kind of contact. I don't think there's anything malicious in it at all, but it looks like she's recovered well, and a continuation.
But it also looks like there's a forced sub there coming from with Bulgaria's number 10. Stefan Dojcev looks like he's been forced subbed, and Italy have got a penalty coming as well. Wasn't the clearest of indications from the referee, but I think there was a little bit of back chat because of the questioning about that challenge, and he's got to work hard to get to the sub box before somebody else can come on.
Yeah, it looks like they're still playing with 5 players here. Bulgaria, unsure whether it is a forced sub. He hasn't gone down to the sin bin, so we'll keep an eye on this. But Italy taking advantage of it. Oh, great ball out to the right hand wing. Solid score for Italy there. They've got some great passers who can ping it out there.
Yeah, and the wingers who are able to exploit the gap and to capitalise. I think they're staying with 5 players. We're just going to go and double check what's happened with that, because as you say, the indication wasn't clear. Yeah, so we're just going to double check what's happened there, because there's a little bit of confusion up here, because there wasn't a massively clear, as I say, a massively clear indication from the on-field referee in terms of what was going to happen there. But Bulgaria have just been on the back foot for the last, certainly 4 or 5 minutes. They've conceded tries, and they're just in a little bit of disarray. But now they've got an opportunity to build from that penalty, but then the ball hits the deck, just rebounding off Filip Menkov.
Yeah, it's always hard when you get sent for a sin bin. A lot of players and a lot of new players won't exactly know the process for it. I remember when I first got sent for time and I had to be instructed into exactly what to do. Especially well-behaved players won't know what to do, whereas some other players, a lot of those men's open lot, they know the exact procedure to the T.
And your sweetness and light on the field, Mel.
It was definitely an incorrect call when I got sent for time, that was for sure.
Well, it wasn't me refereeing you, I can tell you that much.
No.
Bulgaria, though, they've have restarted play close in their own half, and now they've got some period of time. Now, number 10 is back onto the field, Stefan Dojcev, and Bulgaria are still down to 5 players, though.
Yeah, Stefan Dojcev, their captain, very involved in Bulgarian touch and trying to grow the sport over there. This is obviously the mixed open division, and they do have a lot of older players who are actively trying to grow the sport in the country, which is amazing. And they live in such a beautiful country that once they start hosting some tournaments and travelling for some tournaments, you will see the quality of players and developing players come through, which is great for Bulgaria.
Yeah, it's going to be a great place to go in terms of the in terms of Eastern Europe, as you say, somewhere to go. Let's pass the microphone just over to Ian, who's been down to the touchline just to explain to us what's been going on.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I just nipped down to chat to the gentleman down there. It turns out Bulgaria, they haven't had a player sent off, but one of the female players has got injured and they don't have enough female players to replace her, so they're going to have to play for 5 for the rest of the game.
Thank you very much for that update. That is going to be tough.
Oh, I didn't even appreciate that about the sub box. Seeing that now, we can see that their sub box, they are missing a female player as Italy go through and score. So this is going to be a very tough rest of the game for Bulgaria. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate as a developing nation as well. Touch, traditionally being a rugby style sport, there's a lot more men that play, and sometimes a lot of mixed touch teams have limited women who are involved in the sport. So let's hope Bulgaria can use 5. Sometimes it's actually quite hard to defend against 5 players in terms of marking up and the plays that they run, but hopefully Bulgaria can get on top of this and start to limit this Italy attack, which is looking pretty free-flowing at the moment. Yeah,
Nikolai Stoyanov there, just losing control of the ball just at the roll ball there, the play the ball, and Bulgaria really going to have to cut that out and even keep it simple and just to trust their processes on that 3-man drive, but it's going to be in defence where they're going to be found out, as we've just seen there. That's where it's going to be really hard. And their defensive structure wasn't that hot to begin with.
No, but that said, they're not giving away easy scores. You can see this score here, a flick over their head, great hole hitting really tough to score that. So Bulgaria are not making it easy for them.
So Bulgaria, we've got 2 minutes or so left to play in this first half. I think, the halftime hooter can't come quickly enough for them, and I don't think it's necessarily in terms of the physical side of this. All these teams have been playing multiple games per day. It's more about being able just to collect themselves, and we can see that discussion already starting to happen in the sub box just out of shot. Nikolai Stoyanov having a chat with plenty of other players around, and they're just going to need to stay, just work out what they're going to be doing. And this time Italy, they've sucked in the defence, they've kept their handling neat, they've kept their processes simple, and it's just creating space on the right wing, as we see just there.
That's it. I think this is going to be called back for a forward pass. So it looked like a great ball out to the wing, but referee's on the spot in line with that ball. So forward pass.
Yeah, and it's a good let off for Bulgaria. That keeps the score at 10 for Italy and 2 for Bulgaria.
And it's so hard when you do have limited people and you're starting to fatigue a little bit. The key thing is to drive hard and direct, exactly what they're doing right now, and try and get as much field position as you can. That's going to limit the scoring opportunities for Italy and hopefully give you a bit of a rest. But unfortunately, a forward pass coming in there.
Yeah, Velen Lambov, I think, was touched before he passed it, and now we're seeing the Bulgaria defending tight with the 3 on that far side, but they're leaving a fair bit of space here on this side. And Italy, it's a good touch there coming in from Sive Jabar. Excuse me, I'll take the frog out of my throat. Jarabarov, sorry.
Yeah, it was a great touch from him, and here he goes again.
Yeah. Italy then, it looks uncomplicated, but it's quite difficult to execute that from Italy. And as you said, Mel, they're having to work for their scores. They're having to create their scores, even if the finishing is out of the top drawer.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that pass from Alberto Amore. Amore in name, Amore in nature. Love that last pass. Absolutely excellent to finish the first half. It's going to be a grind this second half of Bulgaria, though, isn't it?
It is. They're playing into the little bit of a breeze. They're going to have a little bit of sun in their faces as well, and they are down to 5 players. Bulgaria trailing Italy 11-2 at half-time as we go through the first half. And we didn't have a chance necessarily to commentate on these tries as they went in because we were having a good number of guests from across Europe, from France and Spain.
Yeah, Giacomo Lara just straight through there. He's averaging 2 touchdowns a game.
And Bulgaria at this point was still playing some really neat stuff. It's we saw that with some great interplay from Roberto Badola, Stefan Deutschev there, and then Deutschev flinging the pass out off his left hand to Snezhina, Marinova.
And here we go again. These passes from the middle of the field from Italy, it's the kind of quality that you see in any mixed open side. Just great passes, really flat, really direct, and they've got wingers who can catch them as well. I think the Italian wingers have done an excellent job this game. And
this is the point now where it started to fall apart for Bulgaria. I think that was the point where the female player got injured because she was chasing back and maybe something went ping in one of her legs. So we don't know. We're not speaking to them. But I think that was the point. There was a little bit of there was disarray in the defence there. They thought that a touch had come in midfield and it hadn't. And then you start to see a couple of defensive breakdowns. And this now is where Italy start to cut loose.
Yeah, absolutely. 5-on-6. It's always going to be a tough little session. Alara again, just with the ball out to the wing. He's scored plenty of them himself, but I think he's probably got just as many assists on the board with passes like that. But at least Bulgaria now will going to have the chance to be in their box. We can see Stefan having a chat to the team as captain, just gaining some composure. And I'm sure they're going to come out full of confidence in the second half to really hopefully get a couple of scores on the board.
Yeah, you said in the game that sometimes it can be tough for the 6-on-5, for the 6 players to cut loose against the 5. Is that because, especially in mixed, is that because people start to be a little bit selfish, get some white line fever, and then think it's just going to come naturally?
Yeah, it's just quite tricky. And I've been in plenty of teams where we've had a player on our team subbed off for various infractions. Obviously not me, and it's quite often that we do score from it, because I just think it's quite hard to sometimes man up. And you can maybe get a little bit complacent, and everyone will think someone has a play because you've obviously got the 6-on-5. But Italy are looking very, very strong here, and I'm sure they're going to take this confidence into next round games.
Yeah, I think Italy have definitely had the style, and Bulgaria on the field, but Bulgaria, as I say, have got the stylish beard, and fair play to some of the fact that they've got players of all ages. It really shows that the mixed open is you've got the ability to have players of multiple ages playing with it, with Roberto Badola, Shivay Jabarov, certainly on the elder statesman side.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Italy are playing France mixed open in their next game, so they do need to build a bit of confidence, because France have a very strong mixed side, strong across all divisions. France, they're a really strong touch country, so this is probably a really good setup for them.
Yeah, France have really stepped up. I mean, they were strong in the seniors and masters in 2018, but now they've certainly lower down. We've seen their men's open team beat England on day one. They beat Ireland yesterday in a bit of a feisty match. Nick van der Rit, the referee, doing his best Nigel Owens impression to pull all the players in at one point to give them a certain talking to. And if there's one referee, though, you want to be able to give a talk to Ireland and France in their respective languages, it would be Nick van der Rit.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to have to upload a clip of that. Actually, it was quite impressive to see him clear the sub boxes just to have a little bit of a chat with them.
We see there, I commentated on their men's 40s yesterday, and they were on Tuesday, and they looked really, really good, really fit, really strong, and you can see France leaving Nottingham with more than one title this year, or at least it's going to go down to the wire.
Yeah, it's definitely going to go down to the wire. I saw a bit of men's 40s, the France-England game out on the backfield, and those two teams are incredible rivals. France got it over them at the last Euros, and France, especially in the men's 40s, I think they've had 13 or 14 players come through kind of the 30s, 35s, 40s, and hold firm together. And you got the Silver Fox in there, Mark, who's just one of my favourite players to watch. So it's going to be an interesting matchup later on in the tournament.
And Jerome Denali, who you'd have played with at Galaxy London in the National Touch Series, he's another. He's as much of a silver fox as Mark Legis is.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably got a few more muscles than Mark, but not quite as many quickies, I don't think.
Speaking of muscles, it was a momentous occasion for Travis Kenny as becoming the first English male player after Kylie Hutchison had become the first English player to reach 100 caps a few years ago. Travis became the second yesterday in that game. There's a lot of emotion riding on it. It was good that England, as you say, finished off with a win in that, but Travis was telling me yesterday afternoon that that's the first time they've beaten France in quite a while. Yeah,
as we see, Bulgaria just killing it on the close side of the wing, and Italy starting to move towards their box. Yeah, it was a fantastic way to bring up his 100th. The fact that all the players got out to the field to clap them on, and the fact that they got up by one score in a really traditional derby, and the England and France players in the men's 40s particularly, very good friends with each other. So I think the occasion could have been more fitting for Travis to get his 100, as we see a great finish again by Italy on this close win, just creating those overlaps are just naturally going to happen, unfortunately, in a 5-on-6, but you do need the players here to finish them off, and Valeria Scalia, she's had a cracking day.
Yeah, that's made by Giulio Carraro, who kept his patience, didn't lose his cool when he's tripped over, just kept hold of the ball, didn't put it down unnecessarily, and then, as you say, just that driving game was just going through the middle of the Bulgarian team, and it's going to be the hardest thing for them to cope with. But Bulgaria just working through their driving game themselves, though that ball just slips agonisingly out of the grasp of Stefan Dojcev.
Yeah, Stefan Dojcev, he's been one of the stronger players for Bulgaria, obviously a leader of this team, and you can see why. He's just working non-stop out there, chasing down all these touches.
But Bulgaria getting stretched left and right now as Italy are combining their driving with really working the Bulgarians hard laterally as well as vertically. And here they come looking for another try. It goes out wide from Andrea Corcetto, and that is finished off really superbly by Benedetta Fabbri over in that left-hand corner for Italy. And they are playing this perfectly when it comes to having 6-on-5.
Yeah, they really are. Just that touching link, not getting back on side quite enough to pressure the defence and just getting on his outside. A very, very tough day for Bulgaria.
To be fair to them, though, Bulgaria are rotating their players very, very quickly and doing exactly what they need to do with their with their pods of 3 players. They've got 3 pods of 3 male players with their wingers hugging the touchline, and it comes out wide from Stefan Deutschev out to Marinova. She scored first for Bulgaria, but this time the defence is there to shut things down. But at least Bulgaria is showing a willingness to go wide. It goes right this time from Deutschev, but it dies in the breeze.
Yeah, great to see them spreading the ball here. It's very tough with 5 people, but the fact that they're getting that ball from wing to wing, really testing the Italy defence, it says a lot for their ball handling skills as well.
Bulgaria were always going to be up against it in the second half, but so far, 4 minutes in, they've only conceded the 2 tries, although I suspect as the half wears on, that tally will increase quite considerably. And it starts right now with Italy. That's Corraro. He made their previous one. This time he spotted the mismatch, the overlap on this Italian right hand side through the link channel and dots down.
Yeah, great work by Italy. And Bulgaria, their next match is against Ireland later on today. Ireland sitting kind of mid-table, so they're probably feeling quite lucky that they're not facing the likes of England or Wales in their second game today while their 3rd female player recovers. But the fact that they only had 3 female players on the field, the fact that those women have put in a massive shift without subs, it's just incredible the commitment that these players are showing to their country.
Yeah, it's hard enough from a one-day tournament, let alone if you're playing a 5-day tournament. And I know on a 1 day you've got games coming thick and fast. Every 20 minutes on, or half hour on, half hour off. Whereas these players are playing 2 games a day, maximum 3 games a day, but predominantly 2 games out of a 12-game period. And here come Italy, ghosting through again. And that's Andrea Corcetto again, just weaving his way to the line, just escaping Filip Minkoff. Desperate dive.
And any touch player will say when you're attacking you seem to have so much more energy, but I think the fitness of this Italy team, they're looking really, really well conditioned. There's no fatigue showing for any of them, and they're doing a lot of running in this game, and they're looking as sprightly as they did in the first couple of minutes.
As you said, they need to go into their game against France later today just with a bit of momentum, and they're doing this. They're going through, you sense there's a bit more to come potentially physically from the Italians in terms of pace, which they're going to need to show against the French. So, but at the same point, they need to know that they can create and finish their tries. And speaking of finishing their tries, it comes right again from Deutschev and just dies again in the wind, just heading over towards Annika Kazova on that far side.
Deutschev, he's a great player, isn't he? He's just holding up this team, scooping through. The fact that he's scooping through on a 5-on-6 is just incredible. And then just creating that space as we see Italy just working through that midfield D and scoring. But the fact that he's able to scoot through, it speaks to, how good a player he is.
And also, as you say, it's that, they are committed to trying things. They're committed to wanting to play. They're not content just to stay quiet and to go meekly into their lunchtime. And Deutschev is staying on the field, having just done an attacking set and then a defensive set. But he's staying on, you can see, as Mel just says, his dedication and commitment. He's wanting to lead from the front, and Deutschev gets the ball back off the floor. And this time he is the scooper, he's the half, he's not going to be able to score.
You know, just creating these opportunities, the chases that he's making these Italian players do is he gets the ball, striked up on the 7, splits out, gets the ball back again.
Feeds it left to Stefan Hrup, run off. Velen Lambov is also right in the middle of the play at the minute, but the ball comes to nothing, or the play comes to nothing. But you know, Bulgaria is still trying stuff.
Yeah, they've been really inventive with their attack, and they're doing the plays that they need to, like the scoops and just running directly at that offside defender. And you know what, it says something about Italy that they're still being exploited on those scooping plays. They need to tighten up that defence, because if Bulgaria are doing it to them in a 5-on-6, it's going to happen with the high quality teams as well. So they really need to tighten up their D in that respect.
Italy, though, are over again. It's the spaces on the wings, and that's what's been exploited. This time it's Moira Tura on the long pass, just arcs around towards her left and then pings the ball out, and hey presto, Italy are over. And this time it's their female players who are sending the longer passes, as Italy are mixing and matching and trying a few things themselves. But it's, in terms of the coaching aspect of things, who's going to be there? This is going to sound like an odd question potentially, with Bulgaria 15 tries down, but actually would you say that they are potentially the slightly happier team?
Yeah, they've got a really good spirit amongst them. I met a couple of players at the captain's dinner on the first night and seen them wandering around the backfields, and they just seem like they're having fun with this opportunity and testing themselves. Like, you can see them here competing against the best in Europe, and it's just fantastic to see. Their sub box is still looking very positive. They're talking to each other.
It's also looking very tired. Understandably so. They are working ridiculously hard. As we say, it's harder, you know, because Italy are trying to spread them left and right. And here we go, which is exactly what Italy are trying to do just now. It comes inside from Carraro. He gets the ball back off the deck to Fabri, one of the try scorers, and here goes Carraro, and this is only a matter of time, and so it proves. Italy going through their phases again, but again they're pulling Bulgaria to Bulgaria's left and then going to the right, and you know, and if you've got the three, especially because the wingers have played every minute of every game so far, is that they're going to be really feeding it in their legs, and you know, it's very difficult to stay tight and work as a five in defence in that regard.
Yeah, that's true. And in this division, in the mixed open division, over the last 3 days, the highest number of touchdowns scored by any one team is 18, which Italy has now equalled. And I think if you had a tenner in your back pocket, you're thinking they're going to head towards...
And here come Bulgaria, though. Oh, that's just such a shame. That was a lovely arcing run from Filip Minkov. Finds Kosova on that far wing, but unfortunately the pass inside just hits the deck.
Hasn't he been good, Minkov, for Bulgaria? Oh, nice little dummy from the Italian link as they come sweeping on again. They're still playing with the same intensity, Italy. Their fitness, their speed, it's just been incredible to watch. Little inside ball, space on the left-hand side, acres of space.
Bulgaria need to work hard to try and shut this down, and work hard they are, but Italy come left.
Oh,
have
great
that,
defence.
Yeah, fantastic defence there from Kosova on that far side, with Nikolai Stoyanov as well. He was making some crucial touches in the midfield.
Oh, great little switch around from Bulgaria here.
Italy, though, Italy are also letting Bulgaria make meters. That's the second touch, third touch on halfway. That's great driving play from the Bulgarians to get those fresh legs on. And here comes Deutschev once again, their talisman.
Yep, going around for his winger. She'll pass back in. I think this will be fifth touch coming by the looks of it.
And here comes the scoop from Bulgaria. It's the long legs of Nikolai Langev. Long legs and sunglasses to match. He's in a very cool... It's almost like... I hope they've got a hammock or like big bean bags in their tent, because I think he'd fit right in.
Oh, and here come Italy. Fresh legs on again, straight through the middle. Good touch by Stefanet. He's turned around, not quite there. You could see the Bulgarian winger shutting him, but just not quite enough to prevent that score.
Ball goes inside to Leon Prete, and then he finds Carraro for the score. They're just Italy's interplay, just being a little bit, it's just, this is where that extra player is starting to count, as Deutschev is just deceived by the 1-2. Nothing much he could do about that.
No, there wasn't. It was a good play made by the Bulgarian winger to shun him, but just not quite getting there in time to prevent the try.
And Bulgaria are really starting to struggle in terms of numbers now. Players starting to feel the heat, as we see Stoyanov is on his knees just outside the sub box, moving very gingerly, but on the field Bulgaria is still looking to stretch Italy left and right, but Italy's defence is staying pretty well structured, shutting things down, but Bulgaria is still trying things.
And with that score, Italy the highest score at this Euros, 19 scores.
And still with 6 minutes to play in this mixed open round robin. That's a lovely little touch in the back, and he does get penalised for a heavy touch on that far side. Just coming up in the next in this little segment of games, just before the next short break, at 1 o'clock we've got the mixed 30 round robin between England and France, and that's going to be an absolute kicker. I was watching the Lions, England Lions play against France before, and they came back to score a tying at 11-all. It was an absolute belter of a game.
Yeah, the England Lions have been incredibly impressive. As Italy, another score out. Fantastic wingers for Italy. Safe set of hands every single time that they've passed out to wing. But the England Lions, obviously in England's second team.
Oh, that's been given for a forward pass. Great hands, forward pass.
Oh, forward pass. Yeah, in England's second team to make that division viable. So the fact that those players have put their hand up, it's incredible of them to give their time, effort to come here, but it's great for the Lions to get visibility with the national coaches and to be seen on this kind of stage. So, yeah, the Lions are taking it to a lot of teams, and the Lions have been competing with that England mixed open team very well.
It was 9-5 to England on day one, and then 8-7 to England yesterday against the Lions. And the Lions, as you say, is more of a scratch team.
Yeah, and even on day one, England Lions went into half time with a lead, and it was just in the second half that the senior mates got away with from them.
And then at 1:50 we've got the Women's Open game between Belgium and Scotland, and Belgium, I think, are going to Scotland are pretty strong in the Women's Open this year.
Very, very strong. Hannah Crisp, one of my favourite players, one of my favourite people. She's got an engine on her. She's just so quick, and captain of that team, and creates a lot of opportunities for that Scotland Women's Open.
And then at 2:40 we're back to the women's 27s. We saw Scotland's 27s take on Spain, and then Spain are staying in the opposition against a home nation's opposition as they play against Wales, and their talisman, or Talis player should I say, Miriam Evans, who is, as Italy go over in that far corner again, to hit 20 with 3.5 minutes to play, and we can see that Bulgaria are really starting to struggle on that far side, as Italy are just scoring at will now.
Yeah, Miriam Evans, I believe this is her first Euros in the 27. She's been a Women's Open player for a very long time. I think one of the most capped Wales players of all time, which would be great to see. And the Spain team that we saw from this morning, it'll be great to see them, the likes of Elena Kanyara, compete with the Wales 27s team.
We've got 3 minutes and change to play in this mixed open game between Bulgaria in the green, playing from right to left. And if you've only just joined us, Bulgaria have played with 5 players for the last half an hour. Really, they lost their third female player. This is not down to a sending off or anything like that. It's purely down to injury. They've only got three female players in their 14-strong squad for this game, and one of them got injured, unfortunately, and that's left Bulgaria down to 5. But they've shown dogged determination to try and mix it up against Italy, but Italy, that extra player, they've been playing it superbly, and they've just scored particularly at will in this second half. It's 9-0 and counting in this second, in the 17 minutes alone, as they go over. Touch coming in from Anna Kukasova on that far side. Lovely defence.
You know what, every time Bulgaria hold out this 6-player Italy team, I think that's almost a win for them. We should almost notch down a try for them. Like, to have a defence that's keeping out 6 players and 6 quality players like they are, every time they do it, I just think it speaks so highly of the grit and determination of Bulgaria. Not to take away from Italy, they were very convincing when it was 6-on-6 earlier in this game, and with passes like that.
Yeah, they're keeping their wingers right on the touchline, and Valeria Scalia is the beneficiary this time. And I think that's the thing, if you know, we talked about things that Italy can work on in defence that they're going to have to tighten up on, but one of the things you can't take away is the finishing of the wingers, that even if passes have gone forward, they've still been caught. We've seen very, very little. In fact, I can hardly think of any balls that have gone to ground when they've gone out wide to the winger in the scoring positions.
Yeah, they've been exceptional, the Italian wingers, and yeah, especially the number 7, Scalia. She's been impeccable. I think she must have 4 or 5 on the board now, and she'll be very happy with that. And she's been peppered with balls, and she really is converting every single time.
The bearded Roberto Padola combines with the suave and sophisticated Nikolai Langev in the midfield, and the ball goes wide, and it's just a little bit too strong for Snezhina Marinova on this near side.
The last set of 6 for the game potentially, with 30 seconds on the clock. Italy passing out to their sub box. Very good defence by Annika Kazova. I think she's been one of my favourite players in this game. She has shown an incredible amount of physicality in this game and competitiveness. I think she's been outstanding, and she's prevented 3 or 4 scores on her, and you can see her just treading space there, making the right decisions, shutting in, preventing yet another score. Those kind of decision-making skills from your winger is just incredible.
Here we go. Italy have one final play, but the ball hits, even though it's played at by Nikolai Langev. And you can see just how hard the Bulgarians have had to work over in the background as Stoyan Pishev. He just rolled over onto his back, taking a massive breather. There's great spirit between the two teams as they share handshakes and hugs coming off the field. But Mel, just, you know, as we say, it's 21-2, but you know, Bulgaria are still going to be, well, hopefully they're going to have a bit of a smile on their face coming off, because, you know, they did some really good stuff. Yeah,
they did. I thought their scoops were exceptional. They were getting through a 6-man Italy team purely on scoops, and their determination in that game was second to none. And as we say, that far side winger Kosova, I thought she was exceptional in terms of her physicality. Italy, their wingers were absolutely outstanding today. They will just have to tighten up that defence, especially on those skipping plays, to prevent those future scores against quality opposition.
Well, coming up in just a couple of minutes' time, thanks very much to Mel for her insight over the last 40 minutes. And coming up in just a couple of minutes' time, we've got an absolute must-see game between England and France in the mixed 30s. To preview that, Ian is with Jordan.
Welcome back to the studio here. It's a tough afternoon there for Bulgaria, and probably the most unfortunate of events there, Jordan. Just to fill you in, what happened? Bulgaria played pretty much the entire match with 5 players as opposed to the 6, because one of the female players unfortunately got injured and it had no replacements. Now that's hard enough as itself, but if there's a Spirit of the Game award, it's got to go to the 2 female Bulgaria players, isn't it?
Has to. That's so tough. I mean, you kind of go into a bit of a despair mode when you've got a forced sub for 20 seconds. You have something, you're down to 5, and you go into a bit of a frantic mode during that. Just playing 5 for a whole game, that's brutal, especially on day 3 of a tournament. And you know, that's going to be really tough, especially tomorrow. You're going to feel a little bit heavy in the legs after that. must have been tough to get through.
Bit of a baptism of fire for Bulgaria this week, but it's great to have them here, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing to have teams like that playing this tournament. Yeah, such a good learning experience for them as well.
Yeah. Now, we won't stay too much longer, but I know you want to have a quick look ahead at the next game coming up, the mixed 30 round robin game between England and France. It's going to be a good one.
Can't wait. Something you're going to see quite special now in the England's chant. They pick a different song every time rather than do England on 3, so it might be something to keep an eye on if we can.